Nampak chose to move from standalone to umbrella because of the reducing membership in its fund. It had unbundled quite a few businesses along the way, and that meant that the remaining members in the fund were bearing the brunt of the costs of the fund. And on top of that, the governance and the legislative changes that are happening in this industry are just increasing exponentially. And the legal liability to continue running a fund in-house was just becoming something that Nampak wasn't prepared to contemplate anymore. The process that Nampak went through to choose Old Mutual SuperFund was they originally invited 5 or 6 market leaders to tender, and we then appointed an independent consultant to manage that process between Nampak and the providers from a governance perspective. All the assessments were evaluated by the independent person who then helped us reach a short list of 2 people. The credentials of those 2 providers were then presented to both the board of Nampak and the trustees of the Nampak Pension Fund, and they made the final decision. Once they made the final decision, we went to visit Old Mutual's site in Cape Town, where we spent the entire day walking that building from side to side, looking under the hood and testing everything. And after that, we really knew that we'd made the right decision choosing Old Mutual. The actual transfer, when it happened, was so much bigger than even I could have imagined. But luckily, Old Mutual have done this before. So they had a template, they had a project plan. There were people from the Nampak side, there were people from the Old Mutual side, and we all worked together. It wasn't that there were never any problems, but the problems were put on the table, everybody applied their minds, and we really solved them like a real partnership. It was as successful as it was in the end because all parties worked together. We all had a vested interest in getting this project over the finishing line. I think the thing that stood out for Nampak with Old Mutual SuperFund is that despite coming up against 5 or 6 of the big market leaders in the country, they were still able to, on an independently assessed basis, rise to the top. And interestingly enough, Nampak had actually been with Old Mutual before, but were asked to leave when they wouldn't move into the umbrella fund. So in a way, it was like coming back home to the mothership, because Nampak was actually happy being at Old Mutual previously. It just took Nampak a little bit longer to realize that the umbrella fund solution was actually in its members' best interests. So when Nampak was looking to satisfy itself around the governance processes, because this was one of the most important aspects that we felt the standalone fund was at risk for. We found that there was pretty much nothing in the processes around anything at Old Mutual that wasn't documented. You could ask for any information and you'd be able to get a piece of paper on it. I mean, the fact also is that the board of trustees of Old Mutual SuperFund has got more than 50% of independence. Looking at the death benefit process they followed, it was 100% more comprehensive than we had ever followed as a standalone fund. And that gave me a lot of comfort that at the end of the day, the right thing would be done at Old Mutual. So since moving into the Old Mutual SuperFund, things have been a little bit different, but not bad, a little bit different, good, because ultimately the work that was taken up by myself as principal officer of the old fund, the trustees, all of that had magically kind of was being done by somebody else, and need I say it, probably better than we were doing it. We were getting comfort from the regular committee meetings, management committee meetings, that things were ticking over. We were told when things were going wrong on either the company side or the Old Mutual side, and there was an opportunity to rectify it. I honestly believe that the interests of members are being better served by the people at Old Mutual SuperFund than they perhaps were in the Nampak standalone fund, because they were priority. In Nampak, people were kind of doing their jobs as well. One of the areas that we were most relieved by as Nampak was the fact that the employees of Nampak were more than happy to see that it was actually Old Mutual that had eventually been chosen as the preferred provider. into which to move their funds. The trust that a lot of people have in the brand of Old Mutual, I think, goes a long way towards giving Nampak the comfort that they've made the right decision for their employees. From a personal point of view, my own experience of Old Mutual has been that there are experts in every field that you can talk to, and everybody's accessible. One of our biggest needs was member communication and education, and the amount of information that has flowed towards our members from Old Mutual since we've been there has been amazing. It's also put in the kind of way that people understand. And at the end of the day, the Old Mutual brand has just been around for so long that I don't know of anybody in this country who doesn't trust Old Mutual.